Taking a moment to look around, we found ourselves staring at a small, untidy dog. As it wanders through the busy city streets, this poor creature seems confused and scared. It conveys a lot through its body language, which is wide-eyed, anxious, and confused. This fuzzy buddy is left to fend for itself in a world that can be chilly and brutal without any apparent caretaker in sight. It is surrounded by noise and chaos, but not everyone is sympathetic or helpful to the lost dog. People are rushing by, and cars are honking, yet nobody notices this helpless little creature's dreadful situation. Max, the gorgeous golden retriever, suffered a terrible fate when his heartless owners left him in the middle of a vast park. Once cherished and pampered as a household pet, the poor dog was now alone and helpless. His selfish owners could no longer provide for him, and cruelly decided to abandon him. In the night's bitter cold, they left him with only a meagre snack of food and water, hoping against hope that someone would stumble upon him and provide him with the care he so desperately needed. Max was struck by a deep sense of sorrow and confusion. He struggled to make sense of the situation and couldn't understand why he had been left behind. The abandonment he experienced left him feeling devastated and utterly alone, with nothing but his thoughts to keep him company. Max's journey after the devastating abandonment was filled with hardship and trauma. Once cherished and adored by his family, Max was inexplicably left to fend for himself without care and protection. Cast out into the unforgiving streets, Max was left to face an uncertain future, utterly devoid of the basic necessities of life: food, water, and shelter. With no other options available, Max was forced to navigate the harsh realities of street life on his own, struggling to survive amidst the constant threats and dangers of his new environment. Despite his best efforts, Max was forced to find food and drink from garbage cans and puddles, risking his health. His once happy and carefree demeanor had been replaced by fear and anxiety due to exposure to extreme weather conditions, ranging from scorching heat to freezing cold. Max's prolonged stay on the streets had subjected him to various misfortunes and tribulations. He had borne witness to the unforgiving nature of life and had undergone a great deal of agony. He could occasionally find solace from his afflictions only through the benevolence of compassionate strangers. Max's sufferings had not been limited to the physical realm, but also impacted him emotionally. His yearnings for care and attention were largely unheeded, leaving him to face the bleakness of street life alone. As the passage of time continued, Max's plight grew increasingly distressing. His stomach grumbled with hunger, his parched throat begged for water, and his weary mind longed for rest. In a desperate situation, he cried out for aid, yearning for someone to come. Fortunately, a benevolent stranger caught sight of him and took it upon themselves to provide assistance by escorting him to a nearby animal shelter. There, the dedicated staff endeavoured to remedy his various ailments, including dehydration, malnourishment, and a severe infection that had taken hold in his left foot. The severity of Max's condition greatly startled the shelter personnel, rendering them speechless at the sight of their newest patient. Upon arrival at the shelter, Max was quickly attended to by a veterinarian who administered much-needed antibiotics and treated his wounded paw. Although physical ailments were being taken care of, Max remained overwhelmed with emotions. Despite receiving medical attention, he couldn't shake off the sadness and fear that consumed him. Having been separated from his loving owners and abandoned, Max couldn't quite comprehend why his once safe haven was no longer available. Even though his physical state was on the mend, Max's emotional state seemed completely different. Max had been placed in a kennel alongside several other dogs, yet he needed to be more interested in interacting with them. Instead, he spent most of his days staring at the wall, which he'd claimed for himself, and seemed content in his solitary existence. After Max's recovery at the shelter, the concerned staff noticed that he had become introverted and had failed to show any interest in interacting with the other dogs in his kennel area while he was on the road to recovery. Besides providing him with regular exercise and entertainment, they also presented him with various toys and delicious treats. They lavished him with genuine affection and devoted attention to convey the vital importance of tending to his physical needs and emotional well-being. As time went on, Max's social skills improved as he gradually became more comfortable in the presence of the staff and other four-legged friends. This marked a pivotal moment in his search for a forever home, as he exhibited a newfound confidence by eagerly wagging and wiggling his tail while engaging in playful interactions with those around him. Now I'm going to tell you what happened next, and I'm sure it will shock you to your core. On a fine day, a cheerful family visited the shelter to find a new companion for their family. While scouring through their shelter premises, their gaze landed on Max, who dazzled them with his lustrous golden fur and big, captivating brown eyes. The family seemed smitten with Max's charm and decided he was the one for their home. The shelter caretakers were glad to oblige, and took Max out of his kennel to introduce him to his forever family, who joyfully welcomed him into their arms. Initially, Max was reluctant and introverted in his demeanor. However, once the household began to caress and pay heed to him, he gradually manifested a positive response towards them. The family asked the shelter staff if they could take Max for a walk, and they happily obliged. Max slowly wagged his tail and followed the family out of the door. They spent time together, playing fetch and enjoying the fresh air. Max felt happy and comfortable, and the family felt like they had found their new family member. In the meantime, Max's tail wagged faster than ever as he realized he had found a new forever home. They filled out the necessary paperwork and made arrangements to take him home. Max's new family took him to the veterinarian for a checkup, and he was given a clean bill of health. The family took Max home and gave him a warm bed, plenty of toys to play with, and lots of love and attention. They were overjoyed to have him as a new family member, and Max was thrilled to have a new family to love and be loved by. They also enrolled him in obedience training classes, where he learned new tricks and commands. Max was a quick learner and enjoyed spending time with his new family. The family also took Max on exciting adventures. They took him to the beach, where he enjoyed playing in the sand and swimming in the water. They also took him on hikes and walked in the park, where he loved to sniff and explore. Max's new family was ecstatic to have him as part of their family. They were grateful to the shelter staff who took care of him and helped him find his way to them. They knew that they had given Max a new chance at a happy and healthy life, and he had given them the gift of unconditional love and companionship. Finally, Max was overjoyed after finding a home where he would be loved and cared for. He licked the faces of the family members and wagged his tail with excitement. In the warm bed that Max slept in, the family also provided him with plenty of toys to play with. They also provided him with a park to explore and sniff around. Ultimately, Max had to endure a long journey from being abandoned in a park to finding a loving home. While Max never gave up on his dreams and never lost hope, his loyalty and friendly nature never failed. Max's story reminds us that all dogs deserve love, care, and attention, and there is always hope for a brighter tomorrow, no matter how difficult the journey may be. Max recalled his journey as he lay in his new bed, surrounded by his new family. He realized that he had gone through so much pain and suffering, but it had all been worth it for this moment. He was grateful for the kind strangers who helped him along the way and the family who had given him a new home. The dog closed his eyes, feeling content and loved. Max's emotional journey to find a new home will leave you in awe and shock. He endured many hardships, but he never lost hope throughout all of it. Despite his past, Max overcame his challenges and found a new home where he could live a happy and healthy life, with the kindness of strangers and the love of his new family. Max's story is a magnificent testimony to dogs' resilience and the unconditional love for their owners.